You're listening to Innovators Can Laugh, the fun startup podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Eric Melcher. And on Innovators Can Laugh, we investigate a new topic each week and interview some of the most innovative minds in the startup scene here in Europe. My goal is to turn my guests' wisdom into actionable advice that you can use to grow your business. No matter your industry, I'm here to uncover value, fund my guests by doing the proper research and asking the right questions. And at the end of each interview, we have a little fun where my guests reveal fun and interesting facts about themselves, the stuff you won't see on their LinkedIn profile. If you're new to the show, I'm a marketing geek and head of partnerships at tech startup Bonjoro. I'm also an American expat living in Romania. If you're curious about other European startups and what they're doing to scale, gain customers, or things that they do to differentiate themselves, hit the subscribe button because you'll love it here at Innovators Can Laugh podcast. Also, you can play the Innovators Can Laugh game and have an opportunity to compete against other startup folks on Twitter. Just look for the hashtag Innovators Can Laugh. Hi, Eric here. In this episode, I talk with Tom Vecchi, founder of CU. We talk about user-generated content, how remote fans can drive a huge amount of awareness and revenue, and launching an entirely new product into the market. I found this to be a fascinating conversation as CU allows fans to be a part of the action and support their team in a very fun way. Imagine a fan in Brazil watching a Real Madrid game that's taking place in Spain, sending his or her photo during match time and that photo appearing on the big giant LED screen. That's pretty amazing, huh? We discuss the reach that sports clubs are getting from using CU, ways first-party data can be used to get insights for monetization, and fun stuff like Tom's favorite athlete and hurdles he faced when growing CU. So check it out, and if you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button. Thanks. So Tom, in terms of athletes, you've been around so many different athletes. I'm wondering, past and present, who is an athlete that you would love to meet, if you could?
Yeah, good question. Right in the middle of it. I would love to meet David Beckham.
Okay, why?
I just really like the way how he was conducting himself during his active career when it comes to on pitch and off pitch. On pitch, he was well known for staying out on the pitch and after practice and practicing the free kicks. And he had so many ups and downs in his career. He was keep comeback, and I think that shows humility and persistence as a person. And this is, I believe we need, whenever we do anything in life. And off pitch, I think he was very smart in a way of using his brand and building himself up. So even after the active career, he is well known and could provide to his family and maintain, a good lifestyle, and also changing lives on the humanitarian matter. So I think it's important, all the philanthropic projects that he's running, across the globe.
Yeah. He was also instrumental in increasing the interest in American soccer, because I think he went to go play for LA Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken. And once he did that, the interest in football, it really exploded in the States. So that's the other great thing he did. I was going to ask you, before we jump into CU, you worked as marketing director at FC Junior Sport. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about more about that role. And what were they doing in terms of trying to engage with remote fans? Or maybe they weren't doing anything at all. But if you can share, what were some of the things that they were doing and how that led into you founding CU?
Yes, it has a significant part of going on and founding CU and seeing the challenges of sport institutes that might occur in the marketing level and in the engagement part of their operations. At FC Junior Sport, we were focusing mainly at the beginning for youth players. And once we had the first generation coming up to the age of 18 and 19, we launched a team in beach soccer and in futsal in an adult league, and the guys were delivering well. They were young players, both in beach soccer and both in futsal. And as we speak today, I think 5 or 6 of them already part of the futsal national team in an adult level after a few years. So that was great. And the challenges that we were facing, one was the seasonality when it came to the beach soccer part, because it's like a summer sport, and targeting different audiences, because not necessarily were sorry, the futsal wasn't followed by the same people who followed beach soccer, so everybody have their likes and dislikes across different sports, and it was the same. So we had to find a way how to involve and how to satisfy the fans' needs and requirements to be closer to the team, and know more about them. So in Stadia, activation was key, and also afterwards to maintain contact with them on a remote basis if they weren't able to travel with the team to attend the matches.
Can you give an example of what that looked like when they were not at the matches?
We regularly streamed our matches and had a pre-match shows and with different quizzes involving the audience. And also we were running like a virtual magazine for them. It was only soft copy, so it was only online. And they had a chance, to feature these kind of releases with their stories and how they came across of the club and why they are loving to be a supporter of FC Junior Sport.
Okay, interesting. Okay, as it relates to fan engagement, what are you seeing now that brands are doing very well? And what should they be doing more of now that COVID has happened, in the past 2 years?
Yeah, COVID. Yeah, I think we all could have lived without it, when it comes to personal and business life as well. Hopefully we are past that stage and the world learned to live with the dangers of COVID as a health risk, and also the world learned to live with the professional part of this kind of things, because all our jobs were affected, no matter if we work in sport or somewhere else. And I think what they were doing well before COVID, and they started to get, like a taste of it. It's the data-driven marketing and advertising, and also not going that far to targeting, the right audience in all levels. Obviously, they were used to doing it on social media platforms thanks to boosted campaigns, and they could have been well targeted, but it was more of like measuring the effectiveness of a campaign. How many people have been reached by that campaign, what was their engagement rate, what was the activation that was prompted via that activation. So I think these things really started before COVID, and it had, like I say, like a speedy increase of these kind of campaigns and the need for these kind of campaigns from brands and from sports institutes as well. COVID stopped it all for a second, I would say, for a second, because of the lack of revenue coming in and the lack of human resources, because they had to let go people. There was a big challenge to maintain that growth in those kind of campaigns. And I think nowadays, since I would say like mid 2021, the industry really started to focus on digitalization and digital campaigns, which could be well measured and targeted. So I think this is a trend. This is a trend which is on steroids right now, I would say. So forward-thinking, innovative brands and sports institutes really moving to this direction, and it's the matter of keeping up with them for the rest of the pack, I would say.
Yeah. And when it comes to assessing or gauging the performance of these digital campaigns, what are the main KPIs that they're looking at to see whether or not this campaign worked? Is it more season tickets that are being purchased? What are they looking for?
I think it's depending on which field they're trying to improve when it comes to marketing campaigns. If they want to sell season tickets or if they want to reach more eyeballs with their product, being the sports event, or being the brand who's sponsoring that sport event. I think it's all depending on the campaign that they would like to run. I think it is important now to have a first-party database, simply because of Facebook, Apple, and even Google. Google are closing, the doors on user data and insights on the users. So you have less of a chance to tailor a product or a communication campaign, which is really hits the bullseye. So it is important to have first party data and then learn more about your own fan base and then reach them on your own channels. So I think this is going to be a key focus for this year, or from this year on, I would say, to have an own or first party own data.
Okay, let's move into CU, which allows fans around the world through a moderated channel to be able to post their photos on the LED boards inside stadiums on match days and share them on social media and branded frames. Did you have to raise money to get CU off the ground initially?
Thank you for the nice summary of our solution. It is good to see when someone gets the idea what we do and how we do. It is important that you mentioned it's a match day real time solution, and also it's a moderated channel, so that's key. We not only deliver a mass amount of fan generated content, we do that in a safe manner, which is very, very important.
Right.
So the money part, that's what I hate to talk about. Yes, yes, we had to. Yes, we had to. Obviously, my co-founders and I were investing our money into the project at the beginning. However, when we got the early traction and saw that the industry really requires a solution like ours, and we have to deliver that in a very fast way and be able to scale our company, we needed to look for outside investment, and we involved the Hungarian venture capital fund, who invested in our company and enabled us to have a team of 23 individuals right now working on the scaling of our solution and delivering service, across 10, 15 venues week in, week out.
Wow. I know there was more than 300 events that you guys have been a part of. What markets, aside from Hungary, are you currently in? How many European countries?
We have debuted in over 14 European countries so far with our solution.
Okay.
On different events, some of them being smaller, some of them being world events, such as the UEFA Under 21 European Championship last year in Slovenia. So that was a great experience. But we have club partners for example, in Greece, PAOK, and basketball partners in Germany. And also we are very strong in Spain, in La Liga 1 and La Liga 2. We have different collaborations going on, either with brands or with clubs week in, week out.
Okay. For a sports team or brand that wants to use your technology, what is step one and what is step two?
All right. Step one would be getting in touch with us, obviously, and explain what they would like to achieve. What's the goal of the campaign, as we talked about, either if it's brand exposure or if it's data collection or if it's revenue generation.
Okay.
It's important to know how you want to tailor the solution from the communication perspective. And the second one would be, going into the details, how we're going to integrate our solution technically. Basically, it has two parts. One would be the microsite or the white label SDK that we would create, via which the fans can post their selfies through our system to the LED boards in venue or into the streams of an event. And yeah, the second part would be connecting us with the LED providers of the venue or the broadcasters who are broadcasting the event, depending on which platform they want to share the selfies. And then when we run the whole activation.
What is the average implementation time for something like this?
The comfortable version would be 21 days. That meaning, we create all visual assets for the communication based on the requirements of the partners, using their brand books and also to briefing all stakeholders in the service, meaning the social media marketer or communication partner of the brand, and also the venue operators. And and that would be 21 days if we want to be very comfortable, but we have done it in 4 days as well.
Wow.
So it's also, it's depending, like for the programming part and everything relating to that, it would be 48 hours, the shortest time, that could be squeezed out of our programmers.
Okay.
And we wouldn't like that though, I'm just saying it can be done. It can be done, but our goal would be 21 days.
Yeah.
14 top,
Well, with matches being canceled in Russia, maybe you'll have to hit that timeline if other venues say, "Hey, we have these matches here now."
Yeah, we have a Champions League final running here. Can you come? Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So it's interesting to see that there's, a brand can have 3 different goals. And one of the goals obviously is for awareness. What kind of uplift and awareness can a brand, a sports team see from, running, working with you on a campaign? And in terms of, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the number of shares and likes, or the number of visitors to a website? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, monitoring different KPIs when it comes to an activation and the objectives that we would like to achieve throughout the activation. One would be, which is very hard to measure, is the emotional bond between the brand and the fan, because the fan goes through the experience. We have the opportunity to display the sponsoring brand throughout the euphoric experience of having his or her selfie posted to the giant screen. Or to the pitchside LED boards, which is not an everyday occasion, for any fan, out there. So it's definitely, when the brand is being positioned in a way who allows this experience to happen for the fans. So there will be a stronger bond between the brand and the fan. We also measure the click-through rates from the automatic emails, because once a photo is approved for display, which normally takes around 6 seconds for our solution. It's an AI. Yeah, it's an AI human assistant.
That was going to be my next question. Was how long does it take to approve these? Is it 6 seconds?
6 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
6 seconds. So yeah, that's what we are trying to lower. We started at 15 seconds, but our AI is continuously being taught, you might say that way.
Okay.
And it is capable of, filtering different content. Obviously, the issue is not with nudity and handguns and forbidden symbols. The issue comes with the special prohibited content with different hand signals or different jerseys being worn, by the fans, because if it's an activation only for the home teams, then you don't want to allow, the opposition party smiling from the giant screen in their home stadium, so that could be, like a funny situation, if I may phrase that way. So we normally include different call to action buttons in these automatic emails that the fans receive.
Okay.
So the click-through rate, it's important, from our perspective, because what we try to do, we try to generate lead for our partners as a brand or as a sports institute as well, either if they're selling merchandise or they are selling a service, such as we had an activation with Vodafone in the UK where they were selling a data deal to the users who were engaging with the activation with a discount. And the click-through rate was quite high. It was close to 90% of all users, So it's important, to have that user arriving to that special environment where you can, show that user the photo, how it will look like on the jumbo screen, and also to being in that emotional state when they are receiving, they are open, for new things. And I think this is a magic how you can, like set that scene up when, the value proposition arrives and they are open to
Yeah.
it. Because, you can try to sell, anything like a car to somebody who you are not preparing for a car purchase. You just walk up to someone on the street, hey, you want to buy my car? Won't happen. But, if you take him to, let's say, a car show and, let him drive a few other, like cars and
Yeah.
being that highly emotional state, it would be easier. Hey, don't you want to have that car, mate? Just as good as the one you had then.
Yeah.
So it would be easier, So I think it's important. That's why click-through rate is a key measuring point for us. The second would be the number of people engaged with our solution from the in stadia and off stadia audience. So we could measure, how many percent of the crowd we engaged with our solution. If I have to compare it to in stadia audience, it would be close to 5 to 8% on average, if I have to convert that. And the third one, which I really like, is the organic engagement and reach of the fan generated content. If you read any PwC or KPMG study, you can see that fan generated content is a key content when it comes to sports marketing and marketing. And what CU does, we provide high engaging, fan generated, moderated social media content on a mass scale. So basically what we see regularly when father and son takes a photo, then the photo is shared by our partner on their official channel. Mom comes, like it, share it, tag it, comment it. My husband is the best husband. My kid is the best fan in the world, and that drives organic social media engagement. So if I have to put that in numbers, when it comes to our experience of entertaining over 130,000 fans so far with our solution, it would be like 320% more organic engagement on the fan selfies delivered than any other photo shared from the same event. So that I think that is key, I believe. So we had done some measures with different clubs and different sports, and around 100 fan selfies are perfectly capable of delivering close to 100,000 organic reach on social media, simply just because of the clicks, So imagine that, if you use that content thematically between match days, right? You have, like the father and son selfies, you have the, the family selfies, you have, the coolest fan selfies. There are different themes that you can segment out from a mass amount of fan selfies. You get those guys who are wearing historical jerseys. Okay, so then you can run a competition. Okay, which one you think, guys, is the best one? So there are different ways to use our tool and the content that.
Oh yeah, the social media team has content that could last throughout the whole season, probably just based on one sporting event that was highly successful. Is that a way that people find out about you guys? I'm wondering if there's like a flywheel on the content that's being shared. Does it say powered by CU? Is that a way that people learn about you guys?
Yes, mainly. That's our biggest marketing tool, the fan selfies, and that what we advise our partners to use. So for example, we reach the users and the fans through the existing communication channel for our partners. So we use their websites and we use their social media platforms to communicate, or even newsletter if they have, to communicate the solution is existing and they can use it and have fun with it. And the second step would be, after the first match, is to sharing those fan selfies, because those are the really, key assets that can deliver. Because, we're going to reach the social circle of almost all fans included, in the activation, whoever engaged with this. So when whenever we're marketing the activation, we are not, you said that, like, do we say that it's powered by CU? Most of the time we have a CU logo included, obviously, if we use our central platform to the source of the fan-generated content. But if we run a white label solution, we not necessarily include, like CU's logo or powered by CU. We prefer our partner to be very successful with the activation rather than CU's brand being, like increased,
Right.
and the
Right.
towards.
So, Tom, you probably know this already. It's much easier to introduce on the market a service or a product that is already out there in some form. CU is an entirely new product. What were some of the challenges you faced in getting potential clients to see the value proposition in CU? And also, how did you go about finding the right customers?
Okay. That's a question that I love and receive continuously in different forums. Yes, you are right. It's a challenge and a half in itself because you are not opening a grocery store, which everybody knows. Or we say, I'm going to sell potatoes. Like everybody knows what the potato is and what is it for. It's absolutely different when it comes to, like a solution that did not exist before. And what we do, we continuously educate the market about our solution and the benefits of our solution. And that is coupled with targeting the right institutes and brands, when it comes to implementing our solution. Obviously, digitalization is a one-way street, in my opinion, and I think many of us share that opinion. And there are brands and clubs out there which are sensitive to digitalization and have a digital strategy in place and the right colleagues to implement the new and newer solutions. And there are some institutes and brands out there who are not giving much about it yet, but they will, in a 5-10 years time. So we have to find those players on the market who are sensitive for innovation and new things. And we do that by continuously attending different summits and different forums, and also using advisors across different sports who would have, like a service already made available in the industry or in the region. So they would be able to point out those players in the market who would be interested in our solution. Because again, if you want to sell something to someone who doesn't want to buy it because not interested in it, don't have, the eagerness to learn, and change anything in the ways, unless forced. We've seen COVID, like forcing many clubs and many sport organizations towards the digital ways of conducting even the internal operations, and not only talking about sponsoring platforms. Because just an interesting statistics for you, in global sport, it is only 9% of all commercial platforms digital. Only 9. So imagine, like the place for improvement, how many digital activations you can bring on board that you can brand, and then you can upsell to your existing partners or attract new sponsors, and increase revenues in the B2B manner.
Did you know right away that in-person events or summits or advisors was the way to go? Or did it take you a while to get there? Were you trying different approaches like cold calling and trying to get meetings with people one-to-one?
Cold calling was the tool that I used when we were at the very beginning of our journey. So even then, I was still researching the market. Who would be open for solutions like ours? Who would have the necessary funding for this to invest? Because this is an investment, with a ROI that you cannot really measure right at the moment that but you can measure the longer term. So research and cold calls, were the ones that helped us to start. But shortly after, it was obvious for us we need to have advisors who are familiar with the market and the players in
Okay.
the market. So that's I think that's one of
How
the
did
most
you find those
important major
how did you
steps.
find those advisors? Did you go through LinkedIn, or because of your background working in the sports industry, did you already know who some of the advisors were?
Yes and no. Obviously, for a certain level, you are able to use your personal network, and source the insights that needed, who to approach with what. But I think it was the in-person events of 2018 and 2019, where not only when it came to industry summits, but also when we were providing our solutions on different world events. And people were, coming to us and saying that, oh yeah, that's a good thing, like I know a club who were looking for such a thing,
Got you.
exactly like that. So they connected us. So I believe, the events where we work, and the bigger the better, the more people are attracted by them. And then there are some people who are there for the sport itself, but there are some people looking for new marketing tools and
Okay.
engagement tools as well.
What do you think is going to be one of the biggest challenges facing the sports industry in the next, let's say, 5 or 10 years when it comes to fan engagement?
I think we already had a very fast changing customer expectations out there, with the hyperspeed digitalization, the way how we learned how to interact with Gen Z, and the second screening and stuff like that. I think this is will continuously speed up. So institutes and brands have to adapt faster. But COVID also was a good teacher regarding that, because they have they had to give up their bureaucratic operational systems. When you have 15 people look at a piece of paper and saying A or B, and then like to get something done would take ages. They were forced to quit those days or have that 15 people in one room, even in a virtual
Yeah.
room, you know what I mean, and say, okay, we are going to do A, and that's it. So I think the challenge would be, continuously keeping up with the rapidly speeding customer expectations, and always providing the coolest experiences, and the the best possible involvement for in-stadium and remote fans. And once if we pass that hurdle, I think remote fan monetization will be crucial. If we can learn how to monetize, or the industries can learn how to monetize remote fans, either if it's a sport club or if it's a sponsoring brand, they both have the goal of monetizing, right, at the end of the day, because they have to generate revenue to increase their performance, as an institution. So remote fans are standing for over 99% of all
Right.
fans following a sport event at any time. Even in a domestic level, like you have, let's say, like 15, 12,000 people in Stadia, right? Or even more, like in MLS. But you have, like, I think over hundreds of thousands of people watching that match through streaming, through linear TV. And you need to find a way not to interact and engage. You also have to
Yeah.
find a way how to monetize those, because those are like one of the biggest untapped reservoir of the sports industry, because you can sell tickets, you can sell hot dogs, you can sell uh, I don't know, like celebrity kickoffs, and things like that to
Yeah.
anybody who's in the stadium, right? But that's just like a tiny bit of the whole
Yeah.
which is out there, and just have to find a way, and
Are there
digitalization
any
is
brands right
great for
now
that.
that you're working with? Let's say a customer, not a customer, a fan uploads a video, it gets approved, it gets on the big screen. Afterwards, after they send that picture to the fan, are they following up with any sort of like promotion? Like, oh, get the club T-shirt for 20% off or something. Are they doing any sort of campaigns like that?
One of our main partners is CD Leganes in Spain, and they're a La Liga club. and they are working very close with La Liga itself as well. And they know how to use, user data and how to use user interaction and the insights that they can gain through our activation. Basically, we have monthly and quarterly reports on market intelligence, and not only the data gathered, and funneled into their CRM system, it's also the data on consumer insights. Like what kind of brands they are wearing. Are they watching the match with friends or families? Are they watching the match from a pub or from home? These kind of insights we can gather. How many branded merchandise they are wearing? How many percent of them are having baseball caps? And things like that. So these insights could help Leganes to release newer and newer merchandises. So basically, if we can see that, just give you an example. Okay, there are 1,000 selfies coming in a certain period, and you have 75% of them kids, and those kids, 32% are wearing baseball caps, yet Leganes
Kids
don't
baseball.
have
Yeah.
a kids baseball cap
Yeah.
brand released in the shop. Then we can say that, okay, guys, I think this might be
Right.
something worth to try and invest, because the risk is lower that it's going to stay on the shelf, because we see on the numbers your friends, in this amount, they are
Yeah.
wearing these caps, So father and son would be happy. Now we have Father's Day activation with the club. Imagine, if, it would have been involved in that, like, let's wear the same cap, father and son from Leganes, and snap a selfie and post it to the Jumbotron. So that could have been even better. But these kind of insights, we regularly share with them, and trying to help them to.
God, I can see how brands can have so much fun with this. Father's Day, so you have pictures with the dads. Valentine's Day, maybe you have the couples, wearing the jerseys and sending in selfies and just matching all the different holidays to whatever themes it are. The social media person can have a field day with this. You made their job so much easier. Yeah, so much easier.
Big time. And also, very important, the data comes to the club. So we are funneling social media followers into their internal CRM system. Because if you only run an activation on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, the data stays with the provider. At this stage, we have a gate of, like a smooth Facebook or Gmail login where we have their name, email address, and age group, not only for data collection purposes, but also to comply with GDPR requirements and CCPA in the US, because, this is key. We just mentioned, like first party data. So you are not only giving them a high engaging, fan generated content making machine, right? You are also funneling the huge social media follower base into their CRM system. Just give you a quick example on how important it is. Spotify is about to sign or already signed a new deal with FC Barcelona, and we have El Clasico this weekend, by the way. So Barcelona claimed that they have 350 million followers globally, right? And Spotify, during the due diligence discussions, learned that only 350, 400,000 of those are in the internal CRM system. Sorry, no, I'm saying it wrong. 3.5%.
1%. Yeah.
So it's close to 1% only. That is so, like, you have like a 350 million digital follower base, right? And you can directly reach only 1% of that.
With your platform, now that the social media profiles will be tied to the individual's email or whatever, they're going to be able to see the quality of each person by segment. So they'll be able to know if a person that shared on Instagram actually spent more money maybe in the retail store versus just a regular fan that's not being tagged with Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. I think they'll be able to decipher that. And then they'll realize, oh, wow, from the people that are sharing this, let's try to get more people to share it on this platform, because we know those people on that platform, they tend to spend more money. Anyway, that's just me thinking out loud, but I can see where you're going with the power of the data analytics, that in 5 years' time, brands that are not using this information, that are not using data the right way, they're probably going to get left behind. They're still relying on money just from, hot dogs and beer, which is not going to cut it in the future. Definitely. Okay. So Tom, this has been really, really engaging. Before we let go here, there's a couple of fun questions that I like to ask my guests so that way the audience gets to know them. The first question I have for you, it's a fill in the blank question. So fill in the blank for this question. A favorite childhood toy I played with was blank.
A ball, football. Okay. Football ball, soccer ball, soccer ball.
I know.
Not the.
Yeah, I know. Most of the listeners are European, so they're going to know what you're talking about here. Okay, second question I have for you here. It's another fill in the blank. Blank is something I wish I had known before I launched CU.
Oh, that's a good one. Is there a timer running in the back?
I'll give you 20 seconds.
I say it would be the insider knowledge of the industry. That would have saved us so much time.
Give me an example on that. What do you mean by that? Like one example.
We talked about having targeted the right institutes and brands in the industry, who are open for innovation and digitalization. Now imagine me approaching many institutes and many brands who has no eagerness to do anything else, and me going there for a meeting, introducing CU 15 million times and getting the hand, in the face. Or we think about it, let us call you back. So yeah, I wish I had that insider knowledge, so I would have saved some time, from my personal life and also, from the company's life,
Yeah.
God knows where right now.
That's part of the journey, Tom. Yeah.
I know. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't change it, but that's why, when you had this question, you're like, I don't know if I would change many things or I think that's the journey that we have to take, and with its ups and downs and with its challenges and also the good parts. I wouldn't change many things, about.
Got you.
That's why
Tom, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about CU?
I'm happy to connect via LinkedIn and also learn about CU, our official LinkedIn page as well. And just Google CU selfies, and you will see many activations coming to life in the past years, and also the happy fans across different platforms and different
fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show. Don't hang up just yet. This has been a pleasure, and everybody listening, I will chat with you next week. Cheers.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you could give us a review and star rating. Also, don't forget to sign up for the ICL newsletter at innovatorscanlaugh.com, where you can get the bio and details of each guest. Thanks.